Today we have lesson 4 from chapter 11, related fractions, decimals, and percents. Listen today, we learn every fraction. We can write it as a decimal and we can write it as a percent. Okay, and every decimal number we can write it as a fraction and we can write it as a percent. Or every percent we can write it as a fraction and we can write it as a decimal. Okay, now let's start to learn how we can write the fraction as a decimal. For example, if we have 5 out of 8, to write it as a decimal we can use long division. 5 divided by 8 we can't, we add decimal point in the quotient, and after we add decimal point in the quotient, that means we have unlimited zeros after L5. 50 divide 8 is 6, 6 multiply 8 is 48, subtract them 2, we down 0, 20 divide 8 is 2, 2 multiply 8 is 16, subtract them 4, we down the 0, 40 divide 8 is 5, 5 times 8 40, the remainder is 0, then we stop. Then the answer, it will be 0.625,000. Okay, there is some examples. We can make the fraction decimal direct. How? For example, if we have 2 out of 5, we look to the denominator. If we can write it as 10 or 100 or 1000 like this, we make it. 5 we can make it 10, yes, times 2 times 2, it will be equal 4 out of 10. The 4 tenths, 0.4. If we have 3 out of 25, the 25 we can make it 100,000, we can make it 100. How? Multiply by 4 times 4 times 4, it's equal 12 out of 100 equal 0.1200. Okay, this is the way to write the fraction as a decimal using a long division. And if we can make a denominator as 10 or 100 or 1000 like this, we make it and we write it direct. Okay guys, now number 2, if we want to write the fraction as a percent, here we have 2 ways. Using the proportional. For example, 5 out of 8, it's equal x out of 100. We learned before in the equations when we have division with a variable, the opposite of division is multiplication. Then we multiply the both sides by 100. Then it will be 5 out of 8 times 100 equal x out of 100 times 100. Simplify the 100 with 100, it will be 1. 500 out of 8 equal x. Now 500 divided by 8 is 50 divided 8 is 6. 6 multiply 8 is 48. Subtract them 2. We down 0. 20 divided 8 is 2. 2 multiply 8 is 16. Subtract them 4. We add a decimal. We put 0 to the 4. It will be 40. Divide 8 is 5. 5 times 8 40, subtract them 0. Then the answer, it will be x equal 62.5%. We add the percent symbol. Okay, this is the first way. The second way, using a long division, okay, and multiply the answer by 100. For example, 5 out of 8, we divide it. 5 out of 8, we count 0, we add 0. 50 divide 8, zeros. 50 divide 8 is 6. 6 multiply 8, 48. Subtract them is 2. Down 0. 20 divide 8 is 2. 2 times 8, 16. 4. We down 0. 40 divide 8 is 5. 5 times 8 is 40, subtract them 0. Now what we get the answer in the decimal 0.625, we multiply it by 100%, and we know when we multiply any decimal number by number contains zeros, we can move decimal to the right as the number of zeros. Here we have 2 zeros, then we move decimal point 2 zeros to the right. It will be 62.5%. The same answer. Okay, now let's learn how we make a decimal as a fraction. Number 3, decimal as a fraction. It's so easy. It's easier than the fraction to percent or to decimal. For example, if we have 0.32 hundredths, that means we can write it 32 out of 100. Because it's hundredths, we write it out of 100, or we have 2 digits after a decimal point, we add 2 zeros. Okay, another example, 0.005, it's 5,000th, that means out of 1,000th, or we have 3 digits after decimal, then we need 3 zeros, we write up 5. Sometimes we need to write in the answer in simplest form. For example, if we have 0.5, it's 5 out of 10. We can write it in simplest more. Yes, what the GCF between the 5 and 10? The GCF is 5. Then we divide the both by 5. Divided by 5, divided by 5 equal 1 out of 2. This answer, we named it simplest form. Okay, so easy. Now, when we want to write decimal as a percent, look, when we have 0. For example, 65. Now 0.65 as a decimal, we want to write it as a percent, we multiply it by 100%, and we learned before, when we multiply it by any number contains zeros, we move a decimal to the right as the number of zeros. We have 2 zeros, 1, 2. The answer, it will be 65%. If we have 1 digit, for example 0.3, multiplied by 100%, it will be equal 30%, because when we move 1 digit, we have extra zeros. This extra zeros we add it at the end. Okay, if we have more than 2 digits, 0.375 thousandths multiply 100%, it will be equal, like 2 moves, it will be 37.5%. Okay, mister, it's so easy. Just we move a decimal to the right as the number of zeros. Hi guys, again, now we continue the second part of this lesson. It's percent as a decimal. So easy. For example, if we have 53%, in this case, to write the percent as a decimal, look guys, we have 2 ways. The first way, look, write a percent out of 100, 53 out of 100. How we can read this number? 53 hundredths, that means 0.53. Sometimes we have decimal with a percent, for example 32.7%, then we can write it 32.7 out of 100. Now to remove a decimal from the numerator, we multiply it by 10. Why we multiply it by 10? Because we have just 1 digit after a decimal, times 10 times 10 equal 327 out of 1,000. That's mean 327 thousandth, 0.327 thousandth. Way 2 or B, look, if we have the same number, 53%. Look here, just we move a decimal. We know any number, a whole number, we have at the end of this number a decimal point. Just we move it 2 moves, 1, 2. Then it will be 0.53%. Okay, if we have just 1 digit, for example 7%, a decimal here, yeah, then we move it 1. The second move we add 0, and then the decimal, it will be here. Then the answer equal 0.07. Okay, that's it. Oh, here without percent, sorry. Now, if we want to write a percent as a fraction, and it's so easy, 3%, just we write it 3%, that's mean 3 out of 100. 52%, that's mean 52 out of 100. Okay, sometimes we need to write it in simplest form, like 40 out of 100, 40%. Then now, to make it or to write it in simplest form, we can divide it by, now what's the GCA between 40 and 100? Is 20. I divide by 20, divided by 20, it will be equal 40 divided 20 is 0, it's 2 out of 5. Then we named it simplest form. Okay guys, now the last thing in this lesson, how we used a number line. To use a number line to see the related between the fraction or a decimal, just we draw a number line. Now for example, order the numbers from least to greatest. For example, if we have 0.65, 75%, 35 out of 100. Look what we do. We draw a number line, which take part the first one, it will be 0. The second, it will be 10 out of 100. Okay, 10 out of 100, that's mean in decimal 0.10. As the percent, 10%. The second thing, it will be 20 out of 100 is 0.20. Here is 20%. The third, it will be 30 out of 100 as a decimal 0.30. Here is 30%. Each one represent 10%. 40 out of 100, it's 0.40. Here is 40%. Here 50 out of 100, it's 0.50, 50%. Here 60 out of 100 is 0.60, and here 60%, and here 70 out of 100 is 0.70, and here is 70%. 80 out of 100, 0.80, 80%, and 90 out of 100 is 0.90 and 90%. The last tick is 100 out of 100, here 1 and 1%, 100%. Now we represent each number. 65 decimal, where is it? It's here, 65% of decimal, sorry, with 75%, it's between the 80 with 70, it will be here 75%. With 35, between 30 and 40, it will be here 35 out of 100. The first number, it will be the smallest number, that's mean 35 out of 100. The second number is 0.65 hundredths. The last number is 75%. Okay guys, now let's go to solve some exercises from your book, page 260. Let's start with question 1. From your book, guys, page 260. Let's to take a question, for example, 4. Write the first question. Write the percent as a decimal. Let's solve the question 4. Question 4 is 9.08%. To write it as a decimal, what we said, we move decimal point to the left 2 digits or divide it by 100. We can write it 908 divided by 100 to divide it by 100, then we move it 2 moves, 1, 2. The second move, we add 0. Then it will be 0.0908. We have the same question. It was question 6. When we have 4.5%, we write it 4.5 out of 100. To divide by 100, we move decimal 2 digits. We don't have just 1 digit, then we add 0 decimal. It will be 0.045 thousandth. Number 8, 84.05%. Now we write it out of 100. 84.05 out of 100. 2 moves, 1, 2, then it will be here the answer 0.8405. Okay guys, let's go to the second question. We write the fraction as a decimal and as a percent. For example, when we have 11, let us to solve question 18. 11 out of 40. To write it as a decimal, we used a divide. 11 divided by 40. We can't. We add zeros, unlimited, and we add decimal in the quotient. Now 110 divide 40 is 2. 2 multiply 40 is 80. 110 minus 80 is 0. 30. We down 0. It will be 300. Divide 40 is 7. 280. Subtract them. 300 minus 280 is 20. We down 0. 200 divide 40 is 5. 5 multiply 40 is 200. Subtract them is 0. Then our answer equal 0.275 thousandth as a decimal. To write it as a percent, just we multiply the decimal answer by 100%. Then it will be 0.275 times 100%. We know when we multiply by any number contains zeros, we move a decimal to the right as the number of zeros. We have 2 zeros, 1, 2. It will be 27.5%. That's it. It's so easy. Now let's go to solve the third question. Write the fraction as a fractional percent. That means we have a remainder. We write it as a fraction. Okay, the third question. Write the fraction as a fractional percent. Let's go to solve a question number 26. 26 is a 3 out of 40. We use the divide. 3 divide 40. Okay, we can't. What we do, we add 0 and we have unlimited zeros. Now 3 divide 40 we can't. 30 divide 4 is 0. 0 times 4 is 0. Subtract them is 30. We down 0. 300 divide 40 is 7. 7 multiply 40 is 280. Subtract them is 20. Now look guys, here we can stop. When we arrive the second digit to hundredths, okay, we stop. What we write? We write what we have the digit 0.707 hundredths, and remainder is 20 out of 40. Okay, now 0.07 hundredths is that means 7%, and the remainder we write it beside it. Okay, 2 out of 4%. And if you want to write it in simplest more, 7.5%. This answer we named it fractional percent. Okay, fractional percent. That's it.